What is happening, everybody? Welcome to today's video. I didn't make a video last week. I did 0 to this car because there was a little miscommunication when I ordered some materials, so I didn't have everything I needed for last weekend. So I'm gonna be doing it now. We're gonna just pick up where we left off. If you watched the last, I don't know, 2 or 3 videos, you would see we made a vented hood out of the stock metal E46 hood. Everything came out really good. It's got like a little bit of a raised edge. It can work for heat and stuff, but the main idea is just that it looks cool. I like how it looks. And it came out really good. I'm really happy with it. So now we got all the welding completely done. It's solid, it's ground, it's all good. Now the next step is going to be to start body working this hood. Ideally, what I would do is body work this, get it exactly how I want it, prime it, whatever, and then use it as like a mold basically and make like a fiberglass skin out of it, which I still might do because there's gonna be quite a bit of body filler in this, and these areas around the outside, like they're pretty flimsy, so it's gonna be moving around. I'd probably end up cracking, but it is just drift car, not a show car, so I'm not super concerned, so I might just leave it steel. Also, it's gonna be extremely heavy. It already is a metal hood, and I've added metal to it, and all the weld that I've done. It does add up, plus once I do the body work and prime it and blah, 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 it's gonna get heavier and heavier and heavier. So a fiberglass skin would be good. Not too worried about that right now. So first things first, I have to go inside, open the hood up, we'll take a look, but I have to cut that inner edge off because when I made these, I guess this inner radius part here, I tipped it in a little bit, so it's actually overlapping, and I want to cut that off before I start doing the body work because I don't want to end up, you know, grinding and then burning and melting the body filler, start bubbling, have a whole mess. So I gotta get rid of that lip because it's just gonna hold moisture and whatever, and you can see it doesn't look good. So I want to get that cut off, and then we will start on the actual body work. And then also I want to pop the BMW emblem out and basically just fill in the emblem. I want to be nice and smooth. I think it just look a lot better if it's just smooth, no emblem. And once it's all body worked, I'm really excited about this. I think it's gonna look really good. So I get to it. I'll show you what I mean by that little edge inside the hood. I'll open the hood and we'll take a look at it. So right here, you can see this edge. It's about 1/2 inch here, and it kind of tapers back to almost nothing. So I'm gonna have to cut that with the cutoff wheel all the way along there. Also this inner structure, because you can see that sticking out all the way along this top edge and down the side. You see, I cut this inner structure back because it was actually hitting on the coolant cap. So that's not an issue, but I do have to cut this one back a bit more and then trim. I got it flying, holy. And then trim this whole edge back. So that's not super exciting. I'm not gonna film any of that, but we'll just pick it up when that's done, see what that looks like, and then we will get started on the bodywork finally. Hopefully by the end of this video, we will see the basically final form of this hood, and I'm super stoked. I'm excited for it, and I think it's gonna look good. So get to it. And now you can see I got it all ground down nice. It's not like perfect, but it doesn't really have to be. Now there's no edge there, and then you cannot see these inner structures through the vent, which was really bugging me. And you can even see there's one up here. I had to cut that back on both sides. You see there's rust, whatever here, but I really don't care. So now when the hood's closed and you look in through the vent, all you see is like the rad support, top of the rad. You don't see those stupid inner structures sticking out anymore, or that inner layer. So now it's basically like one piece of metal. So that's good. Now I'm gonna start sanding. I'm probably gonna DA all this with like 80 around it, and then we'll start slapping some Bondo on this. It's not actually Bondo. Bondo's a brand. This is just body filler, but it's easier to say Bondo. So we're gonna start slapping some Bondo on here and making it look smooth and hopefully really good. So we'll see. I'm gonna DA this. I'm gonna see how thick this paint is. There's quite a few layers here, so I'm probably not gonna end up stripping it completely, even though I should. But like I said, it's not a show car, so. Easy peasy. I honestly thought it was gonna be double-sided tape, but it was just 2 pins. I probably could have popped it off easily. All right, now like I said before, if this was like a show car, or at least, you know, I wanted to make it half decent, I would have stripped this hood. But it looks like, to me, there's been a repair or something done like in the center of the hood, and it was just peeling off of this primer. So as long as I get that area of primer off, it should be fine. So I just basically roughed up all around it. I'm gonna go ahead and start laying the filler. Now what I'm gonna use first is fiberglass reinforced filler, which is good for going over welds or doing any type of like building type stuff you have to do. It's really rigid. It's technically waterproof, I guess they say. So it's good for going over welds. If you have any little pinholes or whatever, it'll seal that up and you won't have to worry as much about moisture getting in and popping it from underneath. We'll mix it up and we'll start slapping it on here. And that's actually where we're gonna start to basically shape this front lip. I got it bent up a little bit when I made the piece, but you can actually see, I don't know, it's kind of hard to see, I guess, on video, but the center and basically like over here are kind of what I want, and it kind of faded away in the corners on both sides. I think when I welded and when I was hammering and stuff, it just kind of sucked it in a little bit. So I have to build that up a little bit more, and then obviously just make it nice and smooth transition all the way along. Instead of a kind of an edge, it's just gonna be like a lip. So I honestly didn't think this would be like this much of a cavity in the hood when I took the emblem out. I thought it'd be kind of like, you know, flat all the way around, but it's not. So really what you should do is cut a piece of metal, weld it in there, maybe cut this out even, weld the metal in, and then just smooth it out. But like I said, this car doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna grind it all up in here. So it's got some adhesion, and then when I go and put the fiberglass filler on here, I'm also just gonna slap it on that and we'll be good. There's rust all over this hood. Like, it's not a great hood, so end of the day, it'll be good enough. And yeah, we'll get to that, start doing that, and start shaping this actual thing. This is where it gets like really tedious, and you can spend a lot of time here. I'm gonna try really hard not to, but I do get carried away with things like this and try and make them as good as I can get it. But I gotta remember, it doesn't matter for this car. So we'll see how this goes. What I'm gonna be using is Everglass. So this is the fiberglass reinforced filler, and then Rage Gold. This stuff's like really awesome. This stuff's very expensive though, Evercoat. This is leftover from the S15, so I just wanted to use really good stuff on that. Something like this, you could honestly just use like the Bondo brand, like go to Canadian Tire or wherever that sells that. For something like this, it doesn't matter. Any filler is pretty much gonna work to fill dents and do what we're gonna do. So just gonna mix some of this green fiberglass filler up and start slapping on. What I'm gonna do is go around and not coat the whole entire thing right away. There's a couple low spots like around here, and kind of dives in here a little bit. And like I said, these corners are a bit low, so I'm just gonna go ahead, start building up the areas that need it. Then once that's dry, obviously like knock it down, make it semi-smooth. Then we'll put one coat or whatever it takes all the way around. So talking, we'll get to it and start forming this hood a little bit. Now all I'm gonna do is basically DA this till it's flat. You can kind of block it with a DA as long as you keep it nice and flat. Don't dig the corners in or anything like that. And then I might do one more coat all the way around it with this green fiberglass reinforced filler because it's a little bit thicker. And it's a little bit chunky because it's been sitting for a while, but what you can do and what I'm gonna do for the next coat is add a little bit of fiberglass resin, which is like completely fine to do. And it'll actually act as basically like a reducer, and like it'll thin out the product, and you can actually lay it on there a lot smoother. And the smoother you put it on, the easier it is to sand, less work you have in the next step, which is sanding. So the smoother you can put it on with less, you know, chunkies and stuff like this, the better. But I'm using 40 grit on this, and it's still like a little bit tacky. You can see it's leaving my fingerprints and stuff. So that's almost like perfect because it'll knock down super quick like that. You don't want to wait until it's like rock hard because then it's almost impossible to sand. Not really, but it just takes forever. So yeah, I'm gonna stop talking before this hardens up and just buzz it down, and we should have the majority of the really, really low spots filled. And then, like I said, we'll go around and do one coat on the whole thing. Honestly, from this point out, it's gonna be really hard to see any like actual progress on film. So I might not film a whole lot after this, but I'm pretty happy with how this is going. Now you can see I got this nice gradual shape all the way around here. These corners are raised up pretty good. And all these low spots are now pretty much filled. Now what I'm gonna do, like I said, I'm gonna thin this stuff out a little bit with some fiberglass resin. Just put a little bit, not a whole bunch. Spread out this whole thing. And I'm basically gonna get this outer portion all the way around the hood almost to like exactly how I want it. Then once I'm happy with that, I'll finish inside. And then once I get both inner and the outer area basically how I think I want it, then I'll switch over to the gold body filler as basically just like a final like skim coat, get it over. Use this stuff for all like the building and actual shaping, and then just finish it off with like the gold body filler. But yeah, I'm not gonna film a whole bunch more of this because it's the same thing. Put it on, sand it off, put it on, sand it off. But I'm hoping I can have this pretty much ready for primer, or maybe even primed today in this video. So that would be really cool, because that's when you'll actually see the actual shape of the vent and the hood, and just overall, that's when you see like the finished product when it's primed. So I might throw a little bit of stuff in between here and there, but hopefully we'll get this primed today and we'll have a look at what that looks like, because I'm super stoked. I'm really happy with how it's coming out. Just a lot of sanding. All right, many hours later, I got all of the main bodywork roughed in with the fiberglass filler. Everything is looking really good. This is nice and subtle. I guess I could have made it a little bit taller in the metalwork. I could still, but I don't want to add like a whole bunch of fiberglass and body filler to the edge of that, because that's just gonna be bad for cracking. But I kind of like just how it's nice and subtle. It's not just completely flat and dropped off, and it's not like standing way up. All of this in here is now pretty decent. There's still a bit of a kink at the back on both sides, but it's even. It's like, I think once it's primed and even painted, I think it'll look like it's supposed to be like that, which it has to be. So it's gonna stay like that. And all of this is nice and smooth now. So hopefully now my plan is basically just to mix up the actual gold body filler and put one skim coat over that whole outer area there, and then block that down, do it all nice, and then do the inner part here as well, and then just basically go sand this a little bit, finish this edge, make the lines a little bit crisp, and then it should be good. I'm hoping so. One coat of the gold stuff now should be good. And then there's a few little odds and ends, dings, and some little rust spots, big crease there, that I still have to go over the whole hood, grind, fix, whatever. But then I'll take it off, probably get the car out of here, set it up on a stand, sand the whole hood down, and then prime it. Keep sanding, keep going. The hood, I would say, is like probably 75, 80% done. All this outside is done nice and smooth. All this is smooth. I fixed the one ding over here. I still have to do the one up here, which is not a big deal, but all that's done. Now, I would say 80% of this is done, but there is a big dent here. Like I said, this hood was repaired before, and I stripped like the center area, so I think that that was like there before, so I'm gonna have to end up skimming this area. But yeah, really, all I have left to do is this area here, and then just finish this inner part of the actual like vent, the metal that I added in, just skim coat that, and it's pretty much done. Got a couple little dings of wet, but like mostly is done. I'm really happy with how it's going. Anyways, I'm gonna call it for the night. Maybe come back out here tomorrow after work. I would love to get this thing primed this weekend, and that way we can just see it all done and nice, and then move on to other stuff. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right, a few hours later, and we are officially ready for prime. The only thing I have to do is basically just scuff these little edges and stuff and around the outside, but I want to get the hood off first, obviously, to do that. So we're gonna get the hood off, get the car outside, and then clean up in here a lot because it's terrible. But yeah, so far I'm super happy with this. We're gonna really see, the only thing I'm kind of nervous about, not really, but like the only thing that really matters is these edges on both sides. If the body line is like going straight and basically ends equally on both sides, because you're gonna be able to see that at the same time, right? So if you're doing something on this side, you say, oh, you can only see one side at a time, but that you can see the whole thing at the same time. So it's gonna kind of matter. So I think I got it pretty good. All of this is nice and smooth inside here now, within reason. Gonna get the hood off, pull the car out, clean it all up, and then probably pick it up when we're gonna get some primer on this hood, and that's gonna be sick. I can't wait to see how it looks all primed, all one color. It's kind of hard to envision when it's all different layers and colors of body filler and bare metal and whatever, but as soon as it's primed, you see everything. You'll probably see a bunch of pinholes, craters, stuff like that, but I'll probably end up blocking and then repriming it just because it's a lot of body work. But I just want to get it in the first primer, see how it goes. Probably then move to the rest of the body. I'm still waiting on the body kit, which is insane because it's been like a month and a half and it's supposed to take like 3 weeks max. So don't know what's happening there, but I can still do the fenders. We can swap the doors, bunch of dents and random stuff on the rest of the car. And the windshield is a big thing. I got to cut this windshield out and try and cut the windshield out of the other car and save it because this one's cracked, which doesn't, you know, bug me that much, but going through all this work, might as well put a not cracked windshield. Anyways, enough talking. Clean up, get the hood off, prime it. More of this body filler ends up on the ground than actually on the car. This is the huge dustpan, and that's how much dust I collected off of that. So like 75% of it literally ends up on the floor. So I just got done priming. I got the car back inside. I'm super happy with the bodywork. Everything looks pretty good. There's a ton of pinholes though, which I expected because there was so much body filler and I didn't really spend too much time on the actual bodywork portion of it. So like I said, I'm probably gonna end up blocking it and repriming it, but at least now it's primed. I know that everything is good. Like there's no major bodywork or anything has to be changed or done. I just gotta block it, fill some pinholes, and probably reprime it, and then this thing will be like actually really good. I'm kind of surprised. All of this like looks pretty straight, and I didn't even use like a tape line or a straight line or anything. This looks sick. I'm so happy with this. Everything looks really good, so I'm stoked. I'm gonna call it for the night, and I'll come back out here tomorrow. We'll throw the hood on, and we'll see just overall on the car how it looks. Got the hood mounted on the car. It looks really good. I'm super happy with how this came out. Now that it's primed, you can see all the nice lines. Everything lines up at the back. It's honestly pretty symmetrical from side to side, which I did measure in the beginning when I did the metal work stages, but I did like absolutely no measurements once I started the body work. And I did extend these back a little bit just with the filler, just to let them flow out a little bit better than what they were. It's hard to get on video, but it's got like a nice taper, kind of like contour all the way up, and it fades out, and here is nice. I didn't want it super tall and, you know, out there. I just like this nice subtle look. I'm really happy with it though. Once this thing is painted and shiny and like done, I think it's gonna look awesome. It took quite a bit longer than I was hoping that it would, but it's a lot of work and I think it's worth it in the end. So I'm just gonna end it right there. That's gonna do it for this video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching the video and like this series of the last like 3 videos. I really like building cool stuff. I have a couple other ideas of stuff to like build custom on this car, but it's already like the middle of February, and then March, April, basically the drift season is starting. So I don't want to like get too involved in making custom cool stuff and then I end up drifting. But I don't know, I really enjoy building stuff more than driving, but the whole point of this car is to drive. So hopefully my body kit shows up within a week or 2, maybe. I have no idea. Honestly, I have no idea. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm gonna get started on the body work. That's what we're gonna get into in the next video. So appreciate you guys watching. If you guys want to give it a thumbs up, that'd be sick. If you're not subscribed, that'd be really cool. Super close to 5,000, which is crazy. I didn't really think that would ever happen. So appreciate you guys watching, and that's gonna do it for this one. I'll see you in the next one.